All right. So we're going to do some multi-tabling of the $5 Turbo Sit and Goes on Bovada. And I've got 3 tables up now. I've got another game that should be kicking off here shortly. So we will wait for that one. These 2 tables at the top are still at the 20 blind, the 2010 blinds level. So they've only been running for a few minutes. Basically, I've just folded everything so far. I've been playing 4 tables for, I don't know, a few weeks. Before that, I was really only playing 1-2 tables at a time, and then one day I just decided, what the hell, I'll give it a shot and try doing 4 tables. And I've actually found playing 4 tables at once forces you to kind of play more straightforward, which at these stakes I think is better. You don't really have the time to get creative or to get cute with your play, which a lot of times just ends up getting you in trouble at these low stakes. Obviously trying to 3-betting a lot of times I don't think is super profitable with the low stakes. So that kind of stuff, semi-bluffing, playing back at others, and the kind of thing you might do if you're playing a single table and you're just sort of getting bored and have some fun and have some action. You don't really have the benefit of being able to do that when you're trying to run 4 tables at once. So I've actually found that it's improved my overall win rate. So and we'll play a fairly tight aggressive style. I will try to see lots of flops cheaply with hands that have high implied odds, so pocket pairs, suited connectors, any suited ace. I'm happy to limp in or limp behind, and even with hands as good as ace king, if there are already other limpers in the pot, I tend to, at these blind levels, not get involved with re-raises. So here, somebody with king queen suited might raise that up. I'm happy to just take a cheap flop, and we get top pair. Against these kinds of opponents, it's a pretty dry flop, so I think leading out makes the most sense. And so we get called. We turn a flush draw. I think here betting again makes sense. It's unlikely that he has an ace. And of course, if he calls, we've always got the chance to hit our flush draw. So here, it's hard to say exactly what this guy has. I think I probably still have the best hand, but I'm happy to just check behind. So here, 20 to, we're getting ridiculous odds. So I tend to call when I'm getting great odds like that. However, I don't know, with a hand like 5-8, keep my chips. A hand like King Jack suited, I'll limp here. Players at these stakes tend to play pretty conservatively, so a lot of times limping, you're going to get to see a cheap flop. So that's what we're kind of hoping to do here. Against a raise, I mean, we are still getting really great odds, so I'll probably call, but I'll play very conservatively after the flop. We'll have to hit the flop pretty hard to continue. And obviously that doesn't qualify, so I'll just check fold if he continuation bets, which he should on a flop like that. So let that one go. Alright, fold, fold, fold. Ace 9. If it was suited, I'd limp in, but I just don't see the point in getting involved with offsuit ace, anything less than maybe ace jack at this point, and even ace jack is questionable. And I do use, once the blinds get high and we start getting into push-fold territory, I do use a push-fold chart for guidance. I don't really consider it, it's not an ironclad rule. I won't always play the hands that it says. Sometimes I'll play tighter or looser depending on the opponents. 1 second here and I can bring it over. Okay, so I usually start out with this chart. Let me see if I can bring it over into our window. So this, whoops, didn't mean to do that. And let's fold. So this is the push-fold chart with stacks of 10 big blinds. This chart is in the back of Colin Moshman's book, which is called Sit and Go Strategy. Excellent book. Highly recommended if you have not read it. So, as I said, once the blinds get really high, I will refer to that push-fold chart pretty frequently. Another book that's made a big impact on my play, there's a book by Mike Turner, Crushing Low Stakes Poker, How to Make Thousands Playing Low Stakes Sit and Goes. Kind of a, I don't know, that title seems a bit optimistic. I don't know that you're going to make thousands necessarily, at least not right away, but his take on how to play low stakes sit and goes is really compelling. I highly recommend. He's got a lot of good things to say about the kind of mentality you're going to run into. Now here, I'd say we lead out for 75. There's no reason to screw around. Slow playing is not something you should ever be doing at the low stakes. You're just going to get yourself into trouble too often. I mean, if you flop quads, then, okay, let's slow play, but unless you've got the stone cold nuts, I found more often than not, if you try and slow play at these stakes, you're just going to get yourself into trouble. So these tables at the top, now that we've gotten into that 50 big blind level, my limping, I don't do a whole lot of limping. I mean, I might limp in if there are a lot of other limpers, and I've got, again, one of those hands with high implied odds, but I'm almost never going to be limping in first. You know, it's kind of one of those weird blind levels where the blinds are starting to get big enough to be worth winning, but at the same time, you don't really want to be getting involved unless you've got a pretty premium hand or you're in, you know, good position. The fun will start once we get up to the 100 big blind level. Then we can start stealing blinds and start really playing cards. And you guys let me know, I mean, if you think, you know, if you've got comments on any of my play, if you think it's too tight or too loose or whatever, feel free to hit me up in the chat box and tell me what you think. You know, some people may object on the nice old ace-7 offsuit on the button there against a cutoff limp. You know, some people might think that's too tight. I think it's just fine. Here with 310 against a limper, I mean, so this guy's a big stack, and we don't really have a whole lot of experience with him. You know, against a similar size stack, maybe if we've seen him do it before, I'd be inclined to raise 310 up, but we'll just check him out and take our free flop. And he'll bet at it. Really? The limp stab is so common. So you wonder too when he limp stabs and he's got this big stack. I mean, it just smells kind of weird to me. We'll just check fold. 10-7. So we can see it's good to keep in mind. I mean, he limped with a truly mediocre hand. So, you know, later on, if we get something halfway decent and he limps in against us, we might consider just putting, just shoving on him. Unfortunately, none of these tables yet, we haven't really had any of those kind of good hands where you want to limp and see a flop cheap. You know, the suited connectors and the suited aces, I mean, like I said, I try to get involved with those hands by limping or limp calling as much as I can. But we just haven't gotten any of those hands yet. Now, unfortunately, I have not been paying a ton of attention to number 5 up here. I mean, you know, 10-7 off on the button, you know, if it's folded around to me, you know, I'm inclined to raise with it now. So obviously this guy's min raising under the gun, so we'll just go ahead and fold it. All in up here, queen, nines. So, and here's one of these situations where I might have been inclined to get cute in the past. You know, if I get a raise from the button with 8-9 suited, I might have been inclined to just jam. Now here, down here under the gun limp, I mean ace 9, I think it's worth seeing a flop. So we have top pair. I think it's worth betting out. I mean, the small blind or the big blind, I don't think we have to worry about. Here's actually a really good situation because we get to see this flop very cheaply. So we get called by both these guys, which is interesting. You know, we may very well still have the best hand. I'm inclined to check and keep the pot small. Here, you know, I mean, we just don't really have a whole lot to continue on. So, again, entirely possible we still have the best hand, but I'm not putting any more money into the pot. Another nice spot down here to be able to see a cheap flop with 8-10 suited. And here, obviously, we're going to raise with our ace-2 off, and we'll fold to a jam or anything like that. It's important to always know in your mind what you're going to do ahead of time. Before you make any of your moves, right? So, I mean, here I'm inclined to, I mean, this guy's making a tiny little bet. I really don't see any reason to fold. Now, if this guy re-raises, obviously, we're going to be done with the hand. So, that's all she wrote for us. Normally, in a higher stakes game with better players, I mean, you probably wouldn't put an ace in this guy's limping range, but at these lower stakes, you'll see guys limping an ace all the time. So here with the 10-6 suited, I mean, this guy's got 8 big blinds. I mean, we can consider raising it up, but obviously if we get jammed on, we're going to fold. And to me, this area in here where the blinds hit 100 is critical to be blind stealing in, because you've still got enough that if you get pushed on, you're not totally committed. Here, I mean, I really don't think we have a whole lot of choice. I mean, there's a third of our stack in here. We're not folding for less than 5 big blinds, ace, queen. And, of course, he gets lucky. But that's the way it goes. We still made the right call. From the hijack with 5s and 10 big blinds, I mean, even if they'd have gotten folded around to me, I'm inclined to fold 5s in that spot. I said you have enough. So over here on the first table, we're getting pretty short. We've got about we have about 7 bigs right now. So we're going to be looking for spots to get it in here real soon. With King 8 suited down here, I don't think there's any reason we can't raise from the cutoff with that hand. A6 suited from way out here I think is a little loose. And of course on this flop, I mean, you kind of just have to bet at it and hope that he doesn't have an ace. And when he leads into us, I mean, what can you do? You can't play back at him. So, for the top left table here, I'll be consulting my push-fold table for 7 bigs. And over here, of course, we're about the same spot. We got 7 bigs in both these tables. Down here in the lower left, we got about 11, and over here we got about 15. It's also important, too, when you start considering shoves, who do you want to shove on? Obviously, I'm going to be highly inclined to be shoving on 2. 6, I think I've got almost half his stack, so I think I'm going to have some pretty good folding equity against him. I'm going to avoid at all costs pushing on 8 because these big stacks like to make the hero calls, and so unless I got a pretty good hand. Okay, so now we are short. We have 5 big blinds. We are under the gun. So against, let's see, many opponents, ace 8 off is the suggested. And I'm willing to let myself get hit by the blinds once more, but that will be it. And I think a lot of people watching this will say that folding ace 7 there is too tight. Maybe so. I can't really necessarily argue with that. In a way, I kind of like that because now 2 is a little less desperate. Now I've got 4 bigs, so I mean I'm going to be pushing almost any 2 cards the next time it gets folded around to me here. Over here, yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and jam on that flop. We have a gut shot and a straight draw, so. And we got there. Phew. Not a whole bunch of choice when you get a flop like that. You kind of just got to go with it. And obviously there's nothing we can do here with 8-4. I mean, you can't. If we had an ace here, I probably would be inclined against a button raise from a big stack. I mean, any ace I probably would be happy to get it in with here. Given that we only have 4 big blinds, but with a hand like 8-4, it's just I'm inclined to let the blinds pass, and once we get the button again, just jam on this guy with any 2 cards. So we'll fold and say, hey, listen, we're at 8-4, we're not calling. So this guy is raising to 300 from the small blind. So if it's folded to us, we are all in with 4-8. And this guy limping, I mean, you can't really, wasting 100 chips trying to see a cheap flop with 4-8 is a waste of money, and if we jam, he's almost certainly going to call, so. Short everywhere. Look at this. Down here we're getting real short. We're down to 7 down here. So again, we're all in with any 2 cards. And it's kind of nice too. 6 is sitting out, so if we get real lucky here, these 2 guys will fold. Number 8's thinking about something. Okay, let it rip. a little more breathing room. We got 5 big blinds. We have king 6. That's just not strong enough to be pushing yet, I don't think. I mean, we can go and look at our chart. Button king 10 off is what the chart suggests, and I think that's reasonable. And here, I mean, you know, what are you going to do? Can't call that. And you're going to find yourself short stacked so often at these sit and goes that being able to make optimal push-fold decisions is critical to being a winning player. And I would not sit here and tell you I'm a winning player. I've been winning lately, but that doesn't necessarily mean much. Switch to the details here. So this guy, I mean, if he limps, that's awesome. And he's been limping a bunch, but why not just put us all in? And if he limps and we catch like an 8, for example, we're all in. And of course we're not going to call. So here with ace 10 from the cutoff with 10 big blinds, and here we're going to jam it in, except we get raised. So from the hijack, you know, I think we got these guys covered well enough that pushing ace 10 here makes sense. I think we just broke the bubble over here. And we got our cards here. So now, at table 1 we're in the money, but we've got 2.5 big blinds left. So the next time it's our hand, we're just going to get it all in no matter what. Doesn't matter what we have. So we're just all in every single time. And we may get unlucky, but who cares? Whoop, look at that. Trip 4 is on the rib. Now here, if it's folded to us with this A7, we're jamming. We'll fold 9-6. This guy might call. Once these guys get so short, they're sometimes going to call with anything. So over here we've got 6 big blinds. And it's important too to keep in mind stack sizes. So over here at this table we've got 5 players remaining, but number 2 and number 7 are very short stacked. And so it pays to keep in mind that, you know, if we're facing an all-in against, you know, 4 or 5, for example, and we don't have a super strong hand, it's oftentimes better to let it go, because these 2 guys are going to probably bubble, and then we'll at least make the money. So, and there's, again, here, what can you do? You know, can't do anything. So we'll look at our push-fold charts. I can let you know what they say we should do. If the stupid page will load, there it goes. We have queen 9, we're all in. Queen jack against, no, I can't do that. But we're super short here too. Six is either multi-tabling or he's thinking about it. Nice, we catch our 9. Can we get there? We did it. Beauty. And pocket jacks on this board. We're not going to screw around. Just all in. We are almost down to 4 bigs here, so we need to start making a move. We may have to gamble with a weaker hand. And it looks like we are heads up here. Yep, heads up. Sweet. And we gotta fold down here. Fold here. We'll see what kind of guy this is. You know, once you get heads up, it's important to start really paying a lot of attention and getting a good read on your opponent. You know, is he playing a lot of flops? Is he folding a lot of flops? I mean, the 7-2, I'm not gonna waste my time. Now down here, we're gonna have a tough decision because we have pocket 8s and we've got 6 big blinds, a little bit more. And we're just gonna get it in. And are we gonna get it? Nope. We're busted. King 5 here. Any king, I'm fine to just get it in. So, well, that's okay. I think that was a fine move to shove with 8s there. And then here, obviously, we're going to get in every day of the week. And if we're lucky, we'll run into some ace-king, ace-queen type hands. Dang it. Oh well. And we got kings up here. So now we're up for that one. Oh, look at that. We got a big old raise. So this guy's playing pretty passively. He's folding a lot of hands, so we think, you know, when he does raise, he's probably pretty strong. 8-9 offsuit. I mean, you know, at this point with 4 big blinds, you can either just jam or fold. I mean, you can't. Calling is kind of weak, and although I'm curious to see what he's going to do if we call. Is he going to get aggressive? And yeah, he's going to get aggressive. So. That pretty much tells us where we're standing with this guy. We're going to need to get it in every single time if we think we've got a decent enough hand. And obviously, the blinds as high as they are, our range is much wider now. Now, you can't call. And if this was situation reverse, I'd be happy to shove with king 6. And we have about 8 big blinds here. 8-9 suited is good enough for me. And under the gun jam. Hold on, I gotta watch how this goes. Oh, nice, we hit our flush. Sweet. We're getting 2-1 here. But I don't know why chip this guy up, you know? Ace 10. We'll be getting it all in. The only one to avoid is this guy. We'll get it all in against both of these guys. And do we get there? Nope. It's alright. We've got 7 bigs here. A little less. So we'll see what this guy likes to do against a raise. We got enough chips now. He thinks about it and folds. Excuse me. So we have 7 big blinds here with queen. Well, never mind. I was gonna say, what's my push fold chart suggest? And I don't think queen 3 suited would be good enough to push there. So limping, this is something we have not seen this guy do yet, so it's a little suspicious. We don't really get much of it. You know, is it possible that he's limping a big hand? I think it's certainly possible until we have more information. And now we have a flush draw and a straight draw, so I mean, I think it makes sense to put out a pretty significant bet. Make it 700, something like that. Any queen, any spade. got the ladies, and we'll be getting it in here no matter what. This big raise from this short stack over here is what's called a please don't call me raise. I would not be surprised to see an ace rag or 10-9, whatever. So can we fade a 10 or a 9? We can. So now we're back in it. That guy's out. We're four-handed. And we have 10 big blinds, which is a nice place to be. But we are still in that push-fold zone. And so we see 8 really doesn't seem to like to call pre-flop raises a whole bunch. And we haven't really seen him, we're halfway now, I can't remember. At 400, this kind of sucks if we bubble here, but I mean, you can't really fold ace-jack suited, so. No reason to get involved yet. I mean, we've got well over 10 big blinds, so I think it's best to just be patient. And again, we're getting 2 to 1. I mean, technically, I mean, it is correct to call here with any 2 cards. Let's raise to 1,000. But, you know, I don't see any point in chipping this guy up and knocking ourselves down to 5 big blinds. So here he's min-raising us. I mean, you can't fold, but we will call and play extremely conservatively on the flop, because this kind of min-raise right here to me is like aces or kings. He doesn't want to scare me away, but he wants to juice the pot. You know, and unfortunately that's just not the kind of hand we need. Now here, I think it's perfectly fine to limp and try and see a cheap flop. I don't think it makes any sense with a hand like that to jam. And then we'll just take a stab at it here. So now with like 11 on 10 big blinds, I think we're probably just in push fold mode. And we saw that he liked to raise up my limping. I am curious if I limp again. Did he truly have a good hand? Or is he just viewing any limp as weakness and preying on it, which is fine. I mean, it's an excellent play. This guy's getting super short. I don't really want to shove with a7 here. I mean, I do want to kind of tighten up a little bit. Now, he limped behind. I mean, it's obvious he doesn't have an ace. And if we're going to bet here, we need to bet pretty big. And if he calls, obviously, we're completely out of the hand. And if he re-raises, well, again, that makes our decision pretty easy. Here again, for me, if the situation's reversed, I mean, I'm probably okay pushing king 3, heads up. And he does that again, which I don't really understand. And we flop middle pair. These are the kind of situations I'm never sure what to do in, because I feel like when he re-raises and then checks the flop, that just seems trappy to me. Now we've got 2 pair. Nice turn. So now we'll just, the pot is over half our stack. We'll just get it in here, and I think he'll call off. I'm hoping. Did he? Yep. So 20 bigs. Over here, Alright, so we won first place in the other one. Isn't that sad? We would have had 2 pair. Alright, but we're in the money. And we have 5 big blinds, so we need to be pretty aggressive. I think 8-9 suited's fine there. I mean, this is one of those weird spots. I mean, like, what's he doing this with? I mean, obviously, we're completely flipping. We've got, 6 big blinds. So the real question is, I mean, you know, against this guy's shoving range, how do our 2s play? Probably not that well. Normally, I mean, if I've got the time, I'll get out Poker Stove and, you know, let's say this guy's pushing, yeah, dude, you can wait for me while I stove. Let's say he's pushing like 30% of hands. How does 2-2 do against that range? I mean, it's 45%, but that's just not good enough to, I mean, obviously we need to be getting better than 50%, I would think. So, we'll just fold that one. So now we have 4 big blinds. You know, we have Jack high. He's probably going to be calling with pretty wide range himself, but it is half his stack. Owen, get in there. Now at this point I am just hoping and praying that one of these 2 big stacks gets tangled up with one another and somebody busts out. Then we're in second place. Once we're heads up, I think your chances of finishing first go up quite a lot. So here, this guy will probably jam on us again, and we just have to fold. Nope. Nice. We have 6 bigs. And I'm tight enough there. I can push 5-6 off with 6 bigs. I got 5 almost covered. Two's thinking about it. Thinking. Maybe he's running Poker Stove too. I mean, he's probably calling with any ace. Any pocket pair. Alright, now we've got 7 bigs. Just under. And this guy's going to be highly inclined. Now this looks, I don't know, what do you think that looks like? Limping. That's alright. I couldn't let that go. Couldn't let it go. It was just too good. So we'll go ahead and get it in here no matter what. And we got 3 bigs. Just get it in. Nice. So we're basically right back where we were. You guys can tell me what you think calling all in with my flush draw. I should put that in ICMizer. Probably a bad move, but I don't know. And then of course, with 3 bigs and 3-2 suited, or 3-2 off, I mean, there's simply no choice. Once you get down below 4, I mean, you've just got to get it all in. Queen Jack. This is another one of those very tough spots. You know, what do you do here? Do you call all in? What's his range? I mean, he's probably pushing any ace, any king. You know, again, like stove it, right? I mean, what's his pre-flop pushing range there against 2 opponents? I mean, right, like at least that, but like all these hands, because I would think any ace, right? Lots of suited hands. Getting bad. Yeah, my time ran out. I forgot to hit the time bank button. But what would we have gotten there? King, Queen, Jack offsuit. Evaluate 40%. So I mean, again, calling all in with that, I just don't know that that's super profitable. Now we're going to be down to 5 bigs. We want to have a pretty wide range here. We're going to be on the button, so I'm pushing all pocket pairs, all aces, all kings. That's not going to cut it. I mean, at some point we're going to have to gamble here because we have 3 big blinds. This is when the decision making to me gets very, very difficult. I mean, I'm almost tempted to just call off with anything here. Well, I was lucky. And I think as short as we're getting, I mean, oh well, we have to get it in here. Damn it. If I were short compared to both these guys, I'd probably be inclined to get it in here with King 10 offsuit. But given the fact that my stack is identical in size to 2, I just don't think there's any benefit to spewing off there. I mean, he might call with some ace rag, and this guy might have him beat. I mean, there's no telling. We have 3 big blinds. Kind of have to fold there. I mean, King 2's probably not beating a whole lot of his range there. And here we'll just jam. Unless this guy jams, of course. Alright. So here we just got to get it in no matter what. You get lucky and get a good hand. Yeah, it's not terrible. Can we get there? Come on. Yes. We're running hot tonight. This guy's shoving a lot of hands. And I was going to say, he'll put me all in. I'm tempted to do a stop and go here, just like calling if I catch a 10 or a king. Just jam. But I also have a ton of folding equity, I think, against 2 here. So I am going to keep my chips. Use them to punish this little man. And I will be all in right here. Or not. Oh, there we go. Heads up, ladies and gentlemen. But we have 4 big blinds, less than 4. Ooh, a lot. Well, I'm all in. Okay, looks like that's the end for us. Good run, though. Second place and first place. I can't complain.